Hare Krishna. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Nourish Your Devotion, where we take a card from Gita Wisdom Through Quotes. We read this inspirational quote. We connect it with Bhagavad-gita as it is. The spiritual wisdom of Bhagavad-gita is as it is. And then we explore how it's practical in our daily lives. So let's get right into it. We'll pull a card here and let's see what comes up. We can't always change the content of our experience, but we can change its context. When you read this, comment what comes up for you. What do you think about this when you read this? We can't always change the content of our experience, but we can change its context. When I read this, I think about that how so many things are happening in our life externally that we can't control. Some things happen that we can't, there's no way to move from it, right? It happens, it's there, it's real. And so what can we do? We can make sure we make a choice about how we're going to have an attitude through that experience. And that can change the context of what is happening. The external thing may not change, but how it affects us can be changed. There can be two different people, in a sense, going through the same exact experience, the same thing. And because their internal attitude, their perspective, their what we call in Sanskrit bhava, because that's different, they can get something completely, totally different from it. It's very interesting, right? So this verse connects with Bhagavad-gita, chapter 5, text 2. So let's take a look at that and see what more we can get from the spiritual wisdom of Bhagavad-gita as it is by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we pull up our wonderful Vedabase.io, amazing resource here, and we'll pull up chapter 5 and text 2. And it's got the Sanskrit, the word for word. This is called Devanagari. So let's read the translation and purport. The personality of God had replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So our quote, you can't always change the content of your experience, but we can change its context. The personality of God had replied, Krishna speaking here, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than the renunciation of work. So, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned so many times in this material world we can't help but work. But how are we going to go about our work? Have you ever been in the office or maybe school or something, and there's a person that they just have an attitude that's really tough. We can say it's a bad attitude, and you can see they just struggle with everything. Any little thing can be disturbing to them. And it's understandable. This material energy is very bewildering, right? But then there's other people that have a certain attitude when they go through their work. That's just a totally different experience. So let's read the purport and see what Srila Prabhupada can enlighten us. In fruitive activities seeking sense gratification are the cause for material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, excuse me, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one's fruitive activity in the past. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. Okay, so right here. So I've heard it explained like this. I thought it was really wonderful. We have past activities, past actions, past words, past thoughts, and, that are like an echo or something we put out as a vibration, and that eventually echoes back to us. So at the moment, we are experiencing the echoes of past words, vibrations. And so we can't change those vibrations, but we can change how we experience that moment, how we can change what is the next vibration that we're going to put out. So I say in the cave, hello, comes back, hello, 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 hello. I can't, that vibration back, hello, 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 I can't change because I already put it out there. But once I receive that, I have a new choice to make about what is the next vibration that I have. So explained here is that the results of one's fruitive activities in the past, the vibrations we gave in the past, are coming back to us. And because the material energy is in such a way, it's giving us troubles. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about his real identity. So we have this material life that's causing miseries, birth, death, old age, and disease. And so we should inquire, why? I don't like this. Why is this going on? As long as one is engrossed in consciousness of sense gratification, one has to try to transmigrate from one body to another. Although the mind may engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. Only then one can have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. So there's two attitudes that we can put into containers of how we're going to experience the vibrations of now that were put out in the past. And one can be that we're going to enjoy those on a level that we are this body, that we are of material substance, and we're going to try to figure out how we can enjoy this or experience it in a way that gives enjoyment to the body or the mind or the intelligence. Or we can make the choice that we're going to try to experience these new vibrations, these echo. We're going to try to put out the new echo or the new experience or the new action, the new work, in an attitude of devotion. Oh, I am not this body. I'm a spirit soul. This body is like a vehicle, and I am the driver. In a vehicle, if the vehicle gets hit and we think, oh, that person got hit, it's not the same thing. In an accident, somebody might experience pain and stuff, but the dent that's put in the car is not a dent in the body of the driver. The driver and the vehicle are different. So if we start to understand that we're not this body, that it's a vehicle, and that we are the spirit soul, and we start acting as a spirit soul, then our experience of any work or any action or any past activities that are now we are experiencing, we are putting out a new echo. We're putting out a new vibration. And that vibration is totally, completely different in quality. It's a spiritual uh, vibration. It's a spiritual activity, which means that we're thinking about the quality of happiness of the soul. But more importantly, is the understanding that the happiness of the soul is the happiness of the Lord. And so, really, we start to turn to what pleases the Lord, and we know and experience that that's pleasing to the soul, who we truly are. So, this is a wonderful inspirational quote. It says, empower yourself. So, we can make a choice. This can be lived practically in our life, that we know that there's things happening to us now, and we have a choice about how we're going to experience it. We have a choice about our attitude. We can do it in a way that we become bewildered in the sense of material enjoyment, that we're trying to just figure out how on the bodily platform that we can use these experiences to enjoy, or we can look deeper and say, wait a minute, this is an experience that can be used to connect with the super soul, Krishna. It can be used at a soul level, a spiritual level, that helps me experience it in connection with the Lord. And that becomes spiritual. And it completely changes the context. An example would be that in my life, I can have a disturbance in the sense of, I'm married. Marriage is kind of an easy one, right? Relationships, And my wife, she has her own personality. She has her own context. She has her own experiences. And then sometimes her experience, her desires conflict with mine. I want to do something different. And, I want this way. And she wants her own way. And so sometimes being so attached to what I want to do, I can argue with her. We can fight and be like, I want this and I want this. And, obviously I'm being a little facetious in a way of this, but it can work on that level in the sense of what I want, what you want. And it can cause issues, right? But if we change our attitude and think of it as, I'm a spirit soul, really uh, really what pleases the Lord so much is that I serve his children. Each and every soul is a child of God. And so then if I look at my wife, I'm giving this opportunity to steward a relationship with her that is sanctioned by the Lord. And so if I act in this way, that I take great care in her desires, her wants and needs, and connect it that will be pleasing to the Lord, then I get a totally different experience. Even to the point where sometimes if we don't see it in this context, we just do what the other person wants because it's easy. And that quality of happiness is maybe there in some degree. It doesn't cause a problem. It doesn't cause a fight. But even that quality of happiness isn't as much as connecting it with the fact that I'm a spirit soul. She's a spirit soul. We're all children of God. And if I serve in this way, that with this perspective, with this attitude, then it will please Krishna. We can see that through raising our children, So for you that don't have marriage or a spouse, You can see this in just your daily life about the people that you work with and the people that you're friends with. And if you come with this consciousness that they're a spirit soul, that they're children of God, you can have a different experience about how you interact with them. By the way, I just want to make a little asterisk. That doesn't mean that we just do everything that everybody wants. We want to make sure that the real question we're asking is, how can I please the Lord? So if somebody's asking us to do something that wouldn't be pleasing to Krishna, we can say no. And with that same perspective of pleasing Krishna, we can get a different experience. So I hope that is something that inspires you in your daily life, that the attitude that you go into your experiences matters. You have a choice. And um, in the verse in Bhagavad-gita, it's saying that have um, we have work in devotion, and renunciation of work. So we were speaking before about that there may be times that we say no because that's pleasing to God, but we're doing that, we're renouncing it, we're saying no thank you to that work only because it's for the pleasure of the Lord. But then we also may do the work for the pleasure of the Lord. So both are good for liberation. If you would, please comment on this video. What is it your thoughts? What are you thinking about in this attitude, these thoughts? Explain what you thinking. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so very much. May you have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.